Your mind is your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness. Most men don't realize this. The way you think determines everything. Success or failure, strength or weakness, confidence or doubt. Yet too many let their thoughts run wild, unchecked, and undisciplined. They hesitate, they overthink, they let emotions pull them in every direction, never making the decisions that truly matter. Maybe you've felt this before. Your mind feels like a battlefield. One thought drags you forward, another pulls you back, and before you know it, you're stuck, paralyzed, trapped inside your own head. But here's the truth. Clarity is not a gift. It's a skill you can build, refine, and master. And if you do, everything changes. Your thinking sharpens, your confidence grows, your decisions become clear, focused, and unshakable. But most men never get there. They stay trapped, lost in the noise, consumed by distraction, ruled by impulse. Today, that ends. Because once you understand how to cut through the chaos, how to strip away the excess, silence the doubts, and see the truth with absolute clarity, you'll have something that few men ever achieve: the ability to command your own mind. This is the foundation of everything, and if you master it, nothing can stop you. Let's begin. 1. Master the mental clarity framework. There was a time when I faced a decision that could change everything. A career move, a relationship, a risk that could either elevate me or destroy me. But instead of acting with confidence, I hesitated. My mind became a battlefield, one thought pushing me forward, another dragging me back. The more I thought, the more I felt trapped, drowning in doubt, fear, and endless analysis. And when I finally decided, it wasn't with clarity, it was with exhaustion. I had let mental clutter consume me, and in the end, I made a rushed decision just to escape the uncertainty. This is what happens when your mind is overloaded. You don't think clearly, you react. You don't choose with certainty, you guess and hope. And worst of all, you repeat the cycle. Most men never break free from this trap. Their thoughts control them instead of the other way around. But a Stoic mind is different. A Stoic mind is calm, deliberate, and ruthless with distractions. It doesn't chase every thought, every emotion, or every impulse. It knows that mental clarity isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And if you want to build it, you need a system. Imagine your mind as an inbox. Throughout the day, it collects worries, ideas, fears, and distractions. Left unmanaged, it piles up, creating stress and indecision. But just like an overflowing inbox, your mind can be cleaned. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes to empty it. Write down everything on your mind, unfinished thoughts, to-do lists, lingering doubts. Then process it. What needs action? What needs planning? What can be deleted? The moment you do this, you'll feel lighter, more in control, more focused. A cluttered mind is a restless mind. A clear mind is a powerful one. Every decision you make costs energy. The more choices you face, the more exhausted your brain becomes. This is called decision fatigue, the silent killer of mental clarity. Think about it. You waste time debating what to wear, what to eat, and when to start work. And by the time you reach an important decision, your mental energy is drained. The solution? Automate the small things. Wear the same style of clothing every day. Plan your meals in advance. Set fixed times for workouts and deep work. Save your best thinking for what actually matters. But it's not just about making fewer decisions. It's about cutting out the noise. Most men drown in useless information. Social media, clickbait news, opinions from people who don't matter. They consume so much that their own thoughts get buried. A Stoic mind is selective. It doesn't chase distractions. It filters. If something doesn't add value, eliminate it. Unfollow accounts that drain your focus. Stop scrolling through news that fuels anxiety. Choose what you let into your mind, because what you consume consumes you. Before you let the world hijack your focus, take control of your own mind. Start every morning with a mental reset. Sit in silence for 5 minutes. Write down the 3 things that actually matter today. Take deep, controlled breaths, because if you don't take charge of your mind, the world will. Your mind is like a blade. Either you sharpen it, or it dulls with distraction. Most people think clear thinking is a gift. It's not. It's a skill that must be trained. A weak mind is scattered, overwhelmed, and reactive. A strong mind is sharp, focused, and unshaken. Which one do you want? The difference isn't luck, it's discipline, it's training, and it starts now. Because the next time you face a decision that could change everything, You won't have time to hesitate. You will either trust your mind or be controlled by it. The choice is yours, to control your emotions before they control you. Your emotions can be your greatest strength or your greatest weakness. When controlled, they fuel resilience, discipline, and focus. When left unchecked, they turn into impulsive decisions, regret, and self-destruction. Most men don't realize this. They assume emotions just happen, that they have no control. But that's a lie. A Stoic understands that emotions are not commands, they are data. They inform you, but they do not dictate your actions. Think about the last time anger got the best of you. Maybe it was an argument with someone you care about. Maybe it was a rude driver cutting you off. Or maybe it was something as simple as an email from your boss. Sharp, cold, and unfair. Your first reaction? You want to fight back. You start typing a response, fueled by frustration, ready to defend yourself. But something tells you to wait. You step away, take a deep breath, and let the moment pass. When you come back later, you see it differently. You realize that reacting emotionally would have made the situation worse. This is what separates a man in control from a man controlled by emotions. The difference isn't intelligence, it's discipline. The ability to pause, reflect, and respond, not react. And in a world that constantly tries to trigger you, mastering your emotions is not just an advantage, it's a necessity. Too many decisions are made in moments of emotional weakness. Think about how many bad investments, broken relationships, and career mistakes happen because someone acted in anger, fear, or excitement instead of logic. A man who lacks control over his emotions is like a ship with no captain, tossed in every direction by the waves of impulse. A Stoic doesn't suppress his emotions, he understands them. He steps back and observes them. Anger is just energy. It can be redirected. Fear is just a warning. It can be analyzed. Excitement is just stimulation. It can be tempered. Emotions are signals, nothing more. They tell you something about your environment, but they do not decide for you. To gain control, you must practice the Stoic pause. When emotion surges, stop. Take a breath. Step back. Ask yourself, what would my best self do? That single pause separates impulse from intention. It gives you a choice. Because once you act, you can't take it back. This is not easy. It takes repetition, failure, and self-awareness. But every time you pause instead of react, every time you wait instead of lash out, every time you choose reason over impulse, you get stronger. You start seeing patterns. You notice that most things that made you angry were not worth your energy. You realize that the things you feared never actually happened. And most importantly, you learn that emotions don't control you. You control them. Another powerful technique, the 5-year rule. Before reacting emotionally, ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? If yes, respond carefully. If not, let it go. Most things won't matter. Most fights aren't worth it. Most frustrations are temporary. But your response? That's permanent. A great man is not a man without emotion. He's a man who knows when to use them, when to ignore them, and when to channel them. He doesn't let frustration push him into arguments. He doesn't let fear keep him from taking action. He doesn't let excitement blind him to the risks. He feels everything, but is controlled by nothing. This is emotional mastery. This is the difference between men who live with intention and men who are enslaved by impulse. So the next time you feel anger rise, fear grip you, or excitement push you into a reckless decision, pause, observe, take control. Because once you control your emotions, you control your life. 3. Simplify your thinking. Cut the noise. If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Epictetus. Most men drown in mental clutter. They confuse complexity with intelligence, overthink every choice, and fill their minds with noise that adds no value. But true wisdom is simple. The sharpest minds cut through distractions, strip away the unnecessary, and focus only on what truly matters. Your mind is like a room. If it's filled with junk, useless objects, and scattered piles of clutter, you can't find what you need. You waste time searching, you trip over obstacles, you feel overwhelmed. But when the room is clean, organized, and minimal, everything is clear, efficient, and purposeful. Now ask yourself, what's in your mind right now? Is it filled with worries, doubts, opinions of others, endless notifications, and unnecessary complexity? Or is it sharp, focused, and free of distractions? Most men live in mental hoarding. They pile up useless information, overconsume news, scroll endlessly on social media, and worry about things beyond their control. Then they wonder why they can't think clearly. A Stoic doesn't allow this. A Stoic mind is like a sword, sharp, precise, and never dulled by excess. He doesn't let trivial things occupy his thoughts. He chooses what enters his mind, just as a warrior chooses his battles. If you want clarity, simplify. Cut the noise. Every day, your mind is bombarded with information, opinions, notifications, advertisements, and distractions, all demanding your attention, but most of it is useless. It doesn't help you grow. It doesn't improve your decisions. It only clutters your mental space. Think about the last time you scrolled through your phone, consuming one post after another. Did it make you wiser, stronger, more focused? Or did it just waste time and leave you feeling drained? Mental clarity is not about knowing more. It's about filtering out the unnecessary. It's about recognizing that most information is noise, most opinions don't matter, and most distractions are self-imposed. If you want to think clearly, you must be ruthless with what you allow into your mind. Unfollow accounts that add no value. Stop engaging in useless debates. Limit how much news you consume. Stay informed, but don't let it poison your mind with negativity. Protect your mental space like a fortress. Let in only what serves your purpose. A cluttered mind is an indecisive mind. The more you let in, the harder it is to focus, to choose, to act. If you've ever struggled to make a decision, chances are it wasn't because you lacked intelligence. It was because you had too many conflicting thoughts, too much irrelevant information clouding your judgment. Complexity is the enemy of execution. If you want to take action, simplify. Make your priorities clear. Define what matters. Remove what doesn't. Simplicity is not a weakness. It's a weapon. The world tries to convince you that complexity equals intelligence, that more knowledge, more opinions, and more information make you smarter. But a wise man knows the truth. Clarity comes from cutting away, not adding more. A strong mind is not the one that consumes the most. It's the one that filters ruthlessly, focuses relentlessly, and acts decisively. So today, take control of your mind. Remove the unnecessary. Block out the distractions. Strip away the excess. Because the clearer you think, the stronger you become. Next, train yourself to pause, the decision clarity gap. 4. Train yourself to pause, the decision clarity gap. A man is standing in a meeting. His boss just questioned his competence in front of everyone. The blood rushes to his face. His fists clenched under the table. His pride screams at him to fight back, to defend himself, to say something, anything, to regain his dignity. He's about to open his mouth, but then he stops. He inhales, lets the tension settle, and chooses to pause. Later, when the meeting ends, he walks up to his boss privately, calmly presents the facts, and watches as the situation resolves in his favor. No argument, no damage, just control. Most men don't do this. Most men react. They snap in anger, speak without thinking, and make reckless decisions because they confuse speed with strength. But true power, true strength, it lies in the pause, the space between stimulus and response, between impulse and action. This is the decision clarity gap, and it's what separates men who lead their lives from those who are led by their emotions. Think about the last time you made a rash decision. Maybe you sent a text you regretted, quit something in frustration, or made a financial choice you didn't fully think through. What if you had just waited? What if, instead of reacting instantly, you had created space? Space to think, to reflect, to decide with wisdom instead of impulse. A weak mind acts on the first emotion. A strong mind waits for the second thought, the wiser thought, the clearer thought, the one that isn't clouded by a temporary feeling. This is why the Stoics trained themselves to pause. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire without letting anger, fear, or pressure dictate his actions. He practiced control, not just over others, but over himself. He knew that a reaction is not a decision. It is a loss of control. But let's be real, pausing is hard. When you're insulted, when you feel attacked, when pressure is mounting, everything in you wants to react now. But the ability to delay that reaction is what builds discipline, clarity, and unshakable confidence. Imagine a swordsman in battle. An inexperienced fighter swings wildly, striking at every opening he sees, wasting energy and leaving himself vulnerable. A master? A master waits. He reads his opponent, holds his blade steady, And when the perfect moment comes, he strikes with precision. Your mind must operate the same way. If you swing at everything, you'll waste yourself on fights that don't matter. If you learn to pause, wait, and observe, you'll act only when it truly counts. So how do you train this? Simple. Start small. When someone interrupts you in conversation, pause before responding. When you feel frustration rising, pause before reacting. When an opportunity appears, pause before committing. The pause is a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. With time, you'll notice something. Most things don't require a response. Most battles aren't worth fighting. Most words don't need to be said. The world will push you, provoke you, try to drag you into meaningless fights. But if you control your reaction, you control everything. A man who can pause is a man who is in command of his life. But a man who reacts to every slight, every impulse, every emotion, he is a prisoner of his own mind. So the next time you feel that urge, that desire to react, to attack, to act without thinking, wait. Let the impulse settle. Let your mind clear. And then, when the right decision becomes obvious, act, not out of emotion, but out of mastery. 5. Make decisions based on principles, not feelings. A man ruled by emotion is a man without direction. He drifts from one choice to another, guided not by reason, but by impulse. One moment he is certain, the next he hesitates. One day he's committed, the next he's full of doubt. He is unstable, reactive, and unpredictable, not because he lacks intelligence, but because he lacks something far more important, a guiding code. But a man with principles, he moves with clarity. He does not chase after fleeting desires. He does not wait for motivation. He follows his code. Your emotions will betray you. They fluctuate, they deceive, they cloud your judgment. Fear will make you retreat from something you should confront. Anger will push you into fights you should avoid. Excitement will blind you to risks you should see. But principles remain steady. A Stoic does not ask, how do I feel about this? He asks, what is the right thing to do? Principles act as a compass. They keep you on course, even when everything around you is chaotic. When emotions rise, when pressure mounts, when doubt creeps in, principles cut through the noise and provide a clear path forward. A weak man makes decisions based on his mood, his circumstances, and the opinions of others. His direction changes with the wind. If he's afraid, he avoids it. If he's angry, he attacks. If he's uncertain, he does nothing. His life is dictated by whatever emotion is strongest in the moment. But a strong man? A strong man sets his course and he follows it. Not because it's easy, not because it always feels good, but because he knows what he stands for. A weak man reacts. A strong man decides. A weak man seeks comfort. A strong man seeks truth. A weak man needs approval. A strong man needs only his principles. This is why the Stoics trained themselves to think rationally, to act deliberately, and to never let emotions dictate their actions. They understood that emotions are like waves, powerful but temporary. A wave crashes hard, but it always recedes. You do not build a life on waves. You build it on solid ground. So, when a wave of emotion comes, fear, anger, frustration, you must recognize it for what it is, a passing force, not a guiding force. It is something to observe, not something to obey. To make this shift, you must define your principles. What do you stand for? What values guide your decisions? What lines will you never cross? Most people don't know, and that's why they are easily manipulated, easily swayed, easily thrown off course. A man without principles is like a ship without a rudder. Easily swayed, easily lost. But a man with a strong internal code, he moves forward with certainty, no matter what storms come his way. If you don't define your principles, the world will define them for you. Society, trends, media, opinions of others, these will shape your thinking, whether you realize it or not. A man without principles is a man without control. A Stoic does not waste energy asking, how do I feel about this? Because he knows that feelings change. Instead, he asks, what does my code say? Because in the end, your feelings will shift. Your emotions will rise and fall, but your principles, if you build them strong, will never fail you. And that is what separates those who lead from those who are led. Those who move with purpose from those who drift without direction. Those who stand firm from those who crumble under pressure. So ask yourself, are you making decisions based on impulse or based on principles? Are you reacting to life, or are you deciding how to live it? Because in the end, you either control your decisions or your emotions will control you. 6. Accept uncertainty and move forward. Most people hesitate. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect level of certainty. But the truth? That moment never comes. Life is unpredictable. Every decision carries risk. You will never know exactly how things will unfold. And yet so many remain stuck, trapped by doubt, paralyzed by indecision, unwilling to move forward until they feel completely sure. But certainty is a myth. Look around. The most successful people in history, the great leaders, warriors, and thinkers, did not act because they had perfect knowledge. They acted because they refused to let uncertainty control them. A Stoic understands this. He knows that waiting for certainty is an excuse, a delay, a way to avoid discomfort. But discomfort is the price of progress. Too many men fall into the analysis paralysis trap. They believe that if they just think harder, research more, or wait a little longer, the answer will become obvious. But most of the time, overthinking is just fear disguised as logic. Instead of gaining clarity, they get lost in endless possibilities. Instead of taking action, they let doubts multiply. And what happens? Opportunities disappear. Momentum dies. Confidence erodes. A weak mind believes it must know everything before moving forward. A strong mind understands that action creates clarity. If you wait until you're 100% ready, you will wait forever. And while you wait, someone else, someone with less certainty but more courage, is already moving ahead. Most people hesitate because they fear making the wrong choice. They are afraid of failure, afraid of regret, afraid of uncertainty. But what they fail to realize is this: indecision is a decision. Every moment spent hesitating is a decision to stay in the same place. A decision to let life pass by. A decision to remain stagnant while others adapt, grow, and move forward. A Stoic does not waste time fearing mistakes. He knows that every choice is a lesson. If he succeeds, he learns. If he fails, he learns even more. The only real failure is refusing to act. There is a reason Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. He understood that you cannot control the future, but you can control your next move. Imagine standing at the edge of a dense forest. The path ahead is dark. You can't see what's beyond the first few steps. A weak mind hesitates, afraid of the unknown, waiting for the perfect moment. A strong mind moves. Because here's the truth, you don't need to see the entire path. You just need to take the next step. Most people waste their lives searching for certainty instead of accepting reality. That clarity comes through movement. That answers come through action. That you figure things out by doing, not by waiting. A warrior does not step onto the battlefield knowing every move his enemy will make. A great leader does not take action only when he has absolute assurance. They move forward because standing still is not an option. The same applies to you. If you're struggling with a decision, stop asking, "What if?" and start asking, "What now?" Life will never give you perfect conditions. It will never remove all risk. It will never guarantee success. But that's not an excuse to stay where you are, because in the end, you don't control the future. You only control what you do next. And the biggest risk? It isn't making the wrong choice. It's doing nothing at all. 7. Review, adapt, and improve. No one starts with perfect clarity. Mental sharpness is not an innate gift. It is cultivated, refined, and strengthened over time. Just as a blade must be sharpened, the mind must be tested, adjusted, and honed through experience. Yet most people never do this. They never stop to examine their own thinking. They make the same mistakes, react the same way, fall into the same emotional traps, and wonder why their lives remain unchanged. They assume that just because they experience life, they are learning. But experience alone does not create wisdom. Reflection does. A Stoic does not simply live, he studies how he lives. Because wisdom is not automatic. It is earned through constant review, correction, and refinement. Every decision, every action, every reaction, they all leave clues. Clues about your strengths, clues about your blind spots, clues about where you are disciplined and where you are weak. But only those who take the time to examine their thoughts will ever see them. A man who never reviews his choices is doomed to repeat his failures. But a man who questions his assumptions, dissects his mistakes, and refines his approach becomes unstoppable. A warrior does not sharpen his sword once and assumes it will remain sharp forever. He hones it constantly, refining the edge, making adjustments, and testing it against resistance. Your mind is the same. If you do not challenge your thoughts, adjust your methods, and correct your errors, you will become mentally dull, stuck in patterns of weak thinking. This is why Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in Rome, wrote in his journal every day. He analyzed his thoughts, his actions, and his emotions, not to dwell on them, not to punish himself for his mistakes, but to learn from them, to refine his judgment, to become better than yesterday. If a Roman emperor, leading the greatest empire of his time, made time for self-review, what excuse do you have? You must create your own system of reflection. After every major decision, take a moment to assess. Did you act with logic or emotion? Did you allow distractions to interfere? Did you hold true to your principles, or did you compromise under pressure? Without reflection, there is no improvement. Without improvement, there is no growth. But knowing where you went wrong is only the first step. The next is adaptation. Most people refuse to adapt. They cling to their old ways of thinking, even when those ways have failed them. They hold on to outdated beliefs, poor habits, and rigid ideas, not because they work, but because they are familiar. They would rather be comfortable in failure than uncomfortable in growth. A Stoic is different. A Stoic is not attached to his opinions. He is attached to truth. If he discovers a better way to think, to act, to live, he embraces it. Rigid thinking is a weakness. A strong mind is flexible. It adjusts to new information. It welcomes correction. It seeks improvement. The Stoics understood this. They did not fear change. They adapted their strategies, refined their methods, and continually sought greater clarity. They did not mistake stubbornness for strength. They knew that true strength is the ability to evolve. The question is, will you do the same? Will you review your decisions, or will you repeat your mistakes? Will you refine your thinking, or will you cling to outdated beliefs? Will you adapt and grow, or will you stay stagnant? Your mind is the most powerful tool you have, but like any tool, it must be maintained, sharpened, and improved. Review your thoughts. Adapt your strategies. Improve your mind. Because the moment you stop learning, the moment you stop evolving, you stop truly living. Clarity is not something you are born with. It is something you build. Thought by thought, decision by decision, reflection by reflection. Most men go through life reacting instead of thinking, hesitating instead of deciding, drifting instead of leading. But not you. Not anymore. You now have the tools. You know how to cut through mental clutter, control your emotions, simplify your thinking, pause before reacting, and make decisions based on principles, not fleeting feelings. But knowledge alone is not enough. You must practice. You must apply. Every time you face uncertainty, remind yourself, you don't need to see the whole path, only the next step. Every time emotions rise, remember, the first thought is impulse and the second thought is wisdom. Every time doubt creeps in, understand, you don't need to be perfect, only better than yesterday. This is how you train clarity. This is how you sharpen your mind. This is how you build an unshakable way of thinking, one that will serve you for life. Now I want to hear from you. What's the biggest challenge you face when it comes to clear thinking? When has hesitation cost you? What lesson has shaped your decision-making the most? Share your story below. Because clarity isn't just about thinking, it's about learning from experience, and your experience matters.